And welcome back to Wake Up Radio with Ryan Rain Fuzz. We've got Thomas Edwards on the line from the Professional Wingman. He's joining us via phone from the East Coast, isn't that right?
Yeah, I'm in Boston, Massachusetts.
How's Boston, Massachusetts today? Is it cold over there? Warm, hot? What's going on?
It's actually really warm. It's about 85 degrees.
I guess it's summertime.
Not that humid.
It should be warm. It's summertime.
You never know over here in Boston, believe me.
This is true. Don't laugh at me, Fuzz.
I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with it.
So, Thomas, I wanted to talk a little bit about your very beginnings of this whole venture, because it is sort of it seems like almost an impossible task to take on. Let's start this business where I go out and hang out with people in bars and chat. And you said that your friends actually laughed at you when you first told them the idea. Is that right?
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, I even say they even laugh to this day. But it's a laugh of respect today because they realize that things have been going really well. So. Yeah,
I mean, they're not laughing that hard when they see that you're paying the bills with what you're doing, and this is the truth of the matter. I mean, you are paying your bills by being a professional wingman, isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Now, before you got started doing this, what were you doing before?
So I graduated from college in May of 2008. I went to school in Philadelphia, and I actually originally wanted a job in video games. I've always wanted to develop or produce video games, and so I was pursuing that. Wasn't having much luck. The job market wasn't looking too good, and all the companies I went after were in the middle of creating a game, so they couldn't really take on any more players. So I decided to pick up a job as a valet. I worked as a valet for a little bit, and then I decided to ask for promotion, and they ended up giving one to me, and so I worked as a hotel manager. Actually in downtown Boston. And
working as a hotel manager, you actually worked you were working full time, isn't that right?
Yeah, so I worked 5 to 6 days a week. My typical schedule would either be from 7 to 3, or it could be late, so it'd be from 3 to 11, depending on what's available.
And then when you got home, you started again with your second job, isn't that right?
Yeah, so when I got home, let's say I worked from 7 to 3, I'd come home, have dinner, relax a little bit, and then I get started around 6 p.m. doing a lot of research, reading, seeing what the market's like out there, and then slowly but surely creating this business and figuring out what the need is for something like this out there.
I mean, I think this is so inspiring, the way that you actually created this business around your passion. It's a real inspiration even to me personally, because it took you not long to actually quit your job and actually go full-time with this, making your ends meet specifically through the income you were earning being a professional wingman.
Yeah, so I started the Professional Wingman in March of 2009, and at that time I was still working as a hotel manager, and through outside help, because I was never a business guy, so I never really knew what I was getting myself into. They were able to give me some good pieces of advice about what my goals should be, long term, but in the short term, if I'm capable of even making money here, to be able to quit my job. I definitely didn't want to work 90 hours a week, so I decided to look into that, and then within 3 months, I was making enough money where I didn't have to work as a hotel manager anymore, and so by mid-June, I was able to quit my job.
I mean, this is why this guy's story is so incredible. I mean, he went from working as a manager at a hotel full-time to, in just 3 months, having his own business where he was paid enough to make ends meet, and I'm sure things have grown and developed from there. That's inspiring. That's a model that we can all follow. What do you think created that success? How is it that you were able to do that, make that quick transition?
A lot of sleepless nights. I'll say that right from the get-go. But also just a matter of, and we had talked about this before, I really believe that there was a need out there and that I could fulfill it. And so there wasn't really anything that was stopping me. And I know this sounds very abstract, but when you have a passion that you really think you can share with the world and really feel as though you can touch people and help change their lives, it's really hard for anyone to tell you no or to tell you that you can't do it, and that was kind of my mindset. It was almost like I blacked out in a way where I was so driven and focused on what I wanted to do that there was nothing that was really going to stop me.
It's infectious. I think people want to see us succeed. People want to be part of a success story, whether it be a friend or whatever. So, well, here's the big question I have for you, Thomas. So, are you currently seeing someone, or are you so busy helping everybody else that now like your whole thing's been pushed to the side?
Now, how bad would this be if I were to say, no, actually, I can't find anyone?
Well, I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think it's probably a matter of you not being able to find someone. I think it's probably a matter. I would think as a wingman, you'd be out and you're talking someone up for your friend. I mean, isn't that isn't that the joke? Isn't that the way the whole story goes? You're trying to talk someone up for your friend, and the next thing you know, the person becomes more interested in you than the friend.
And I'll tell you what, that's happened before.
Yes.
And it's not that when I first encountered it, it was very difficult because then you're like, wow, well, I'm really trying to help him, and then you don't want your client to say, wow, he's actually in it here for himself. I'm paying him for him to get girls. What's going on here? But to answer the question, I am not single. I've been seeing someone who I absolutely adore. We've been dating for quite some time, almost a year now, and ironically, she also is a dating coach. She actually handles the online aspect.
Nice.
Well, I know. Now let's talk a little bit about your pricing and how you set that. How do you actually put a dollar value on the value of what you do?
Yeah, there's definitely a story behind it because the prices that you see if you were to go to my site now were not the prices that I started out with. And the reason why was because it's hard to go into a market that you don't really know exists. Mm-hmm. And so what's the value? You know,
yeah,
and
sure.
when you think about it, you got to kind of take a step back and think as what's the true value of being able to find love for someone?
Right.
You know? And even today, when you think about it, you can't really put a price on that. And it's tough. But when you compare it to traditional education, where we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and many, many years to get a job that allows us to work 40 hours a week, you know, and 40 to 50 hours a week, when you have 168 hours in a week, how much money or time are you really investing to making sure that the other 128 hours of your week is just as fulfilling? And that's where the value starts to seep in. And then based on demand, I started to notice that there was a lot of demand there, and then I was able to increase prices to the point where it's definitely reasonable, but also respectable to allow myself to continue to do this full time.
And it is very reasonable. It's very reasonable pricing. I think anybody could take advantage of your services if it's important to them. I know that they would make the investment. We've got your picture up here from your bio online, and you look like a slick wingman. I mean, you got your cool vest. You look like you're ready to like go and capture some prey.
For my clients, not for me.
Because you've already got yours. You've already made your catch. All right, Thomas, we're going to be taking another break. We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll be talking a little bit more about your advice for others and what you've got coming up here on Wake Up Radio. Stay with us.